video, we're going to discuss a niche area in the field of hair transplant, the treatment of fractional alopecia in those with afro hair. And then we'll discuss the difficulties that arise while treating this category of patients of African origin. And lastly, I'm also going to recommend the doctors who do tremendous work in this field, the doctors who are recommended to be approached if you live in other parts of the world. Transplant for African hair is rather complex. The choice lies between FUT or FUT hair transplant. But if you would like to ask me, I would prefer doing an African hair transplant using the FUT technique. Why? Because in FUT technique, you can dissect out the grafts in a better manner as compared to FUE technique, which can be considered a blind technique for harvesting grafts in African patients. However, there are many clinics which have mastered the art of doing FUE hair transplant for African hair using the FUE technique. There are many new instruments, equipment that have come up which can harvest African hair with transaction rates almost close to those in other races. The only thing that goes against FUT technique while managing afro hair transplants in African Americans is the fact that the skin of the African patient is not plastic enough to allow for a big strip. But the most important fact is that African patients run away from FUT hair transplant because of the propensity of developing keloids after an FUT hair transplant. This is the main reason that despite the high transaction rates in FUE hair transplant, African patients still come seeking FUE hair transplant for the hair loss, for androgenic alopecia in the male, androgenic alopecia in the female, or for traction alopecia. We do a large number of African patients as well. African patients come to us because especially the ladies suffer from traction alopecia. And we have one of the largest numbers in the world having treated traction alopecia for the last 15 to 20 years. However, our workload in African hair is nothing as compared to that of Christian Bisanga, Sanusi, Umar, and Patrick Mwamba. And if you are in that part of the world, I will recommend that you go to these doctors, illustrious doctors who have made a name for themselves in the field of hair transplant, especially for Afro-American hair. Patients fly to us not only because of the low cost that we offer, but also because of our experience with afro hair and especially that related to traction alopecia. Like this lady who came to us just yesterday and was kind enough to leave a review.
Hello, so I came from Nigeria. I've been searching about hair transplant, so I've been searching for the best clinic to do my hair transplant. I found Darling Boots Clinic. Darling Boots Clinic is the best in India, so I decided to come to, and I have been struggling with hair loss due to some like unprotected style that I've been putting on my hair. So I've been struggling with hair loss at the front side of my hair. I have been struggling with hair loss for 4 years, and it had taken on my self-confidence. And I have tried different remedies and it didn't work. So I decided to try a hair transplant. So then I did my research. Because of so many different, a lot of hair transplant clinic everywhere, so I decided to look for the best. Then I found Darling Boots, I found Dr Bhatti, so then I booked my consultation. I was a little bit nervous at my first time here, so then I thought it would be painful, but no at all. It was really easy, and I am happy because I'm already starting to gain my confidence. I'm so happy with the team, with all the staff. They're very kind, and they're also very gentle and caring. So I'm really happy. I thought it will take some too much time, and it will be very difficult or something, but it's not at all. It turned out to be very easy for me because so I came to the clinic at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was welcomed by the staff, and they gave me some snacks and some coffees before my surgery. The surgery was very smooth, and being an African hair transplant case, which is very difficult. Every doctor doesn't take it up, but Dr Bhatti has enough experience with Africans here, and he was able to finish the procedure of 2,000 grafts in 6 hours. That speaks for skills for Dr Bhatti. I'm very thankful, and I will send more patients. I will recommend Dr Bhatti. He is the best.
So the problem with African hair is, number one, that the African hair has a prominent S curve. As you go towards the West African continent, this curve becomes more marked. And since FUE is a blind procedure, it is very easy for us to damage this hair, cause transection, which may be very high if the doctor is not experienced. The second problem about African hair is that there is very low density. However, this low density is negated by the fact that African hair is very curly. One African hair can do the work of 10 hair of other races like Caucasians, South Asians, East Asians, Arabs, and all other races. The other problem about African hair is that African skin is very prone to keloid formation. And that is the reason why African patients balk at the idea of a mere suggestion of their getting an FUT done in preference to an FUE procedure. And lastly, the skin of the African patient is not pliant enough. It cannot be stretched to harvest a wide strip, and therefore limiting the number of grafts that you can get from FUT procedure. This is my opinion. The opinion of others may be different. So when it comes to African hair, especially traction alopecia, one needs to know that the length of the procedure is much more than that of races who have straight hair. A procedure in other races which for 3000 grafts will take about 6 to 8 hours, for 3000 grafts in African patients will take perhaps 2 to 3 days. And this is the reason why doing African hair may not be economically viable for clinics which do not do this procedure on a regular basis. This is a specialized form of hair transplant for which I have recommended to you these 3 clinics all over the world. But if you're in India, or if you do not hesitate in catching the flight to a foreign destination, we are always there to help you. Thank you for watching. If you have any question, any doubt that comes to your mind about hair transplant in general, about African hair transplant, or traction alopecia in African patients in particular, do let me know. Leave a comment in the comment section below and I'll be too happy to respond. Subscribe to my channel. God bless you.